Welcome to John Martin Talks, where we battle ignorance and apathy daily. The growing ignorance of just how special this experiment we call the United States of America is, and the apathy that we can't or won't do anything and everything to save her. Excuse me, ladies and gentlemen. We got a great show for you today. It's Friday, so I got good news. If you're waiting for the weekend, it is absolutely here. So glad to have you here. No fishing trip for me this weekend. The boat is getting geared up for the red snapper season, which means they go basically round the clock for about 2 months. So I no fishing trip, but this weekend is obviously Memorial Day weekend. We're going to talk a little bit about that. But before I forget, let me go ahead and make an announcement. We have decided not to broadcast on Memorial Day and not even to do a tape show. I want to give everybody a chance to take a break, celebrate the weekend, the freedom we have with our families, and also give thanks and memorial to those that paid the ultimate sacrifice for that freedom. So no show on Monday. All right, let's get started here. First story out the gate is illegal aliens slams Americans who support socialism. And basically we have a Venezuelan who was interviewed crossing the border, and he essentially said that Americans who support socialism know not what they do, and we'll talk about that. And then Paul Ryan, of all people, Paul Ryan is making a comeback, and by knocking Donald Trump. He spoke at the Reagan Library yesterday, and essentially he is knocking the idea that the MAGA movement, that the Republican Party needs to return to whatever conservative values he pictures, and we'll talk about that. But before we go any further, we always have to talk about our sponsors. In this case, it's Big Daddy Unlimited, our number one sponsor, otherwise known as BDU. No matter when or where you're watching the show, look above the video and you will see links to our sponsors. In this case, BDU, your Second Amendment headquarters, because you will get factory direct pricing. If you follow the instructions there, you'll get factory direct pricing. I'll get a little support for the show, which is greatly appreciated, on guns and ammunition delivered directly to your door, as well as over 100,000 other items that are Second Amendment related, like tactical gear, like protective wear, survival gear, all of that kind of stuff. Even swag you can get. And of course, they are your Second Amendment headquarters, BDU, because they defend your Second Amendment on a daily basis. Then we also have patriotthreads.org. Patriotthreads.org, apparel with a purpose. Remember the initials of our show, JMT for John Martin Talks. You get 20% off. They are a total fulfillment center, which means they can produce high-quality, patriotic-themed sportswear for your charity events, help you design it, get the T-shirts made, and send them to the your appropriate charity, the funds that you generate. Recoil TV is on YouTube. We're partnered with them. We have our own YouTube channel, of course. We're on there every day, Monday through Friday at 8 o'clock Eastern, live, or as close as we can get to it. Good morning, YouTubers. How are you? We certainly need more people to subscribe and share our YouTube channel. Watch it, more views there. But Recoil TV is all about the Second Amendment as well, because they produce high-quality videos about the latest ammunition, guns, anything to do with the Second Amendment, and our show is archived on their channel on a daily basis. All right, let's get into, as I say, the meat and potatoes of the show. This first story comes to you from the Washington Examiner. Don't know the reality. Venezuelan migrant at U.S. border slams Americans who support socialism. And I always love this meme right here. It's so true. Socialism, you can vote your way into it, and we certainly seem to have done that here in America, but you always have to shoot your way out, fight your way out. And I hope it doesn't come to that here in this great country, but it certainly come to that in Venezuela. A Venezuelan migrant shared his thoughts on Americans who support socialism, making clear he left his home country, that of Venezuela, to get away from that very economic system. Now, it says the migrant said. Of course, I like to point out, and I'm not knocking people who try to come here. If I was stuck in Venezuela, I'd be trying to get here as quickly as I could too. So I don't I don't have any fault with people trying to get here, but they are trying to come here illegally. And that is the problem that I have, because we have a lot of Venezuelan nationals living in Florida, some before Maduro, some after, and they're great, hard working, industrious people who love the freedom they have in America. So I am not knocking the Venezuelan people in any way, but we still have to protect our borders. And that's the only thing I want to bring up. This is what he said. I'm sure that the people who say they support socialism don't know the reality of socialism. A lot of people don't, but there are some that do. As I said the other day, when you're starting to believe, like defund the police, for instance, you're either ignorant, could be stupid, but some people actually want to defund the police because they want to destroy this country. They want to bring Marxism to this country. And we see ample evidence of that. For instance, Black Lives Matter was founded by a Marxist. Those people who are, this migrant went on to say, these people who are the middle class and upper middle class, and they're leaving Venezuela, he added, pointing to other migrants trekking to the United States. A lot of people from Venezuela are crossing our southern border. The progressives, though, I really believe in this country, if you look at it, yes, they're pushing socialism, but they're coming closer and closer to outright communism and Marxism. And I'm afraid we're going to leapfrog socialism and go straight to that. The influx of migrants from socialist Venezuela comes as more Americans embrace the economic philosophy the migrants are fleeing. Well, you know, in this country, we support it, and that's such a true meme right there. BS Bernie. Bernie Sanders, I mean, we might as well have elected him president. We couldn't go any further to the left, I don't think, than we have with Biden. In fact, if you love this country and want to paint a clear contrast between the socialists, the Marxists, the progressives, and conservative Americans, rugged individuals, we probably would have been better off if Bernie Sanders had gotten elected, because at least we would have a clear picture. Now, I would maintain that we have a clear picture with the Yahoo we got in there now, the guy that got the most ballots. I don't know about votes, but I'm not saying there was any mod. We don't say the F word here because we got to be wary about the politically correct police, so to speak. We got to try to stay in the mainstream media and everything else. We're going to fight for the public square, but I jokingly say we don't say the F word. We say mod, because algorithm, due deference to algorithm. But we might as well have put Bernie in. We wouldn't have had any. Could he be further left than Biden? See, I don't think there are any moderates in the Democratic Party, not the leaders, that's for sure. Polls show the trend, back to this article, polls show the trend is particularly striking among Democratic voters. Listen to these numbers. With 56% of Democrats expressing a favorable view of socialism leading up to the 2020 election. By contrast, and this is actually scary numbers as well, 26% of Republicans expressed a favorable view of the economic system. In other words, socialism. If true, as the Democrats said, that's kind of scary in and of itself, that 26 people that say that they're Republicans actually have a favorable view of socialism. Oh my Lord, what does that mean? We're losing. I've been telling you for a while, ladies and gentlemen, we are losing the struggle to stop the progressive takeover of this country. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is my sole political goal right now. It may not be fair, but I judge you now, no matter if you're running for the outhouse, the White House, park bench, Park Avenue, appointed, elected, whatever, dog catcher. I'm going to judge you based on whether you can help me achieve my goal, my political goal of stopping the progressive takeover of this country. Because if we don't, nothing else really matters. Venezuela's ruling Socialist Party of Venezuela, under the leadership of President Nicolas Maduro, has responded to the country's economic woes by increasing state control over the economy. Isn't that kind of what we're doing now? According to the U.S. Department of State. Now, I want to show you this picture. This is Maduro. I've shown this picture before, but it has even more meaning today. The lady that you see in the black dress there, that is one of the co-founders of Black Lives Matter, an avowed Marxist communist, and she's down there in Venezuela, getting all lovey-dovey with Maduro. Did you hear the news that she has announced that she is retiring or resigning from Black Lives Matter? You know why? Because she's going to go make movies and write books. So here you have an avowed Marxist who is living the American dream, buying up million-dollar homes, multi-million-dollar homes all over the country, probably flipping them, which is pure capitalism. And now, because of the influence she has obtained through Black Lives Matter, is going into movie production and writing books, kind of like the Obamas. I'm just saying. A deepening economic crisis has shifted 33% back to Venezuela here, shifted 33% of the country's citizens below the poverty line, causing many of the citizens to flee in hopes of a new life in the U.S. or South America, neighboring countries such as Brazil. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I've been telling you what the new mantra of the Democratic Party is, and I think that's what this gentleman is realizing here, that America might not be the country he wants to get to, because the mantra of the Democratic Party, at least in my words, is America sucks. There's America first, there's Make America Great Again, and there's the Democrats, America sucks. America sucks. It's always sucked. This is what the Democrats, it sucks for some more than others. And if you vote for us and put us in power, we will make sure it sucks for everybody equally, which is exactly what's happening in Venezuela. They're making everybody poor. Even the wealthy are fleeing or losing what they have. But that's what we have in store here, and this gentleman is warning us. He goes on to say, unlike other refugee crises, I'm sorry, this is actually the State Department saying this part. Unlike other refugee crises, the Venezuelan one is not the result of conventional war or conflict, but the conditions Venezuelans face daily are not much different than those in active war zone. So what, they haven't been at war with anybody except with themselves, but the results are like those of an active war zone. Are you listening, America? America, are you listening? Because we actually are living it out right now. There are parts of our country that look like an active war zone after the Black Lives Matter and Antifa has gotten through with them. Are you listening? Read this meme. Maybe I'll post it up on my social media sites over the weekend so you can see it, but it is so absolutely true. The Brookings Institute analysis of the crisis in Venezuela reads like this. Since 2013, Venezuelan economy has contracted by 65%, the largest contraction outside of a war in 45 years. So they might not have a war, but socialism is bringing an economic war to their doorstep. More here. But the Venezuelan economic collapse, which preceded international sanctions, stands out because it was not triggered by external forces or internal unrest. It was manufactured by those in power and thus was totally avoidable. It is a self-inflicted wound, which is what this migrant, this illegal alien crossing, is warning us. He's warning us that we absolutely are in trouble. And if you don't believe that what I'm saying is true, I want to play a couple of quick videos here that I believe will show you what we're up against, where we're headed, and who is responsible. This first one is from the debates between candidate Joe Biden, and President Donald Trump when he questions about the socialistic policies of the Democratic Party, he being President Trump. Listen to Joe Biden's response. Check it out.
Your party doesn't say it. Your party wants to go socialist medicine.
My party is
and
me.
socialist
right
healthcare.
now, I am
and
the
they're going to
Democratic
dominate
Party.
you, Joe. You know that.
I am the Democratic Party right now. The platform of the
Not according
Democratic
to
Party
Harris.
is what I, in fact, approved of. What I approved of.
Yeah, I hope you guys are hearing it. I could not hear it in my headphones. My headphones don't seem to be working too well right now. But I hope you heard that. In fact, what Joe Biden said in response to Donald Trump talking about socialists taking over the Democratic Party, Joe Biden looked right in the cameras and said, I am the Democratic Party. So he is the Democratic Party. And then if you listen to this next video. Now, this was only about a month ago when Joe Biden, and God help us, as President Joe Biden, addressing a joint session of Congress, said this about our U.S. Constitution. Check it out.
The Constitution opens with the words as straight as it sounds, we the people. Well, it's time to remember that we the people are the government. You and I. Not
So did y'all see that?
Go. Like I say, I can't hear it, but I hope you can. But Joe Biden said, we the people, means that we the people is the government, not the rugged individualists that the country was founded on, not what the Constitution actually talks about. Joe Biden is saying the opposite of what the Constitution actually is all about. Because in a nutshell, the Constitution is not about enabling government. It is not about empowering government. The Constitution is to protect, not bestow upon, but protect the individual, inalienable, God-given rights of citizens. And it is to protect the citizens from an overreaching federal bloated government. So when Biden says we the people is the government, it's just the opposite of the Constitution. So when you put those two together, you can see the difference. What we're up against literally in this country right now is the progressive takeover of the United States of America. Nothing short of that. If you go and listen to Biden's entire speech before Congress a month or so ago, an hour-long speech, if you listen to all of it, it literally is a blueprint for the progressive takeover of this great nation. Now, some people may say that's a good thing. Don't put me in that category. But, you know, the question I have really is how can Americans, because keep in mind that the majority of Democrats in the poll that we just cited a few minutes ago said socialism was acceptable. And, you know, Bernie Sanders came with an eyelash of being the Democratic Party representative. And you look at 26% of Republicans actually approve of socialism. How can Americans support socialism? Especially, like I say, when we're going into Memorial Day weekend. First of all, let me just say this on behalf of all of us here at JMT, and I know I can speak for the people behind us at Big Daddy Unlimited and all of our sponsors. A special thank you to the families that lost loved ones. Not just the people serving, because sometimes we forget that Memorial Day is specifically about those that paid the ultimate sacrifice. Of course, we all support our veterans, period, and those that are willing to serve right now. But on Memorial Day, I hope as you're enjoying yourself, you'll take a minute to think about the families that of the fallen, the people that, you know, some, what does the song say? All gave some and some gave all. And that's what we need to say. So on behalf of all of us here that make this show possible and everything we're doing behind the scenes and all the people, let me just say thank you. And our heart goes out to people who have lost loved ones in wars to keep us free. And let me just say this too, ladies and gentlemen. As I say, I don't see how Americans can support socialism. This meme right here really says it all. Because it implies, in Venezuela, they're literally eating their pets. They're literally eating their pets. Look at that, a grocery store. How can you go into a fully stocked grocery store in America and bemoan capitalism? Of course, now we're having, and it's a preview of things, unfortunately, that may be coming our way if we continue on the path. We're having shortages all over the place. Here in the South, we're starting to have a chicken shortage, by God. So, you know, it's just crazy what's happening here. But it can absolutely get worse if we continue. If you don't help me, if I'm not successful, and I'm not saying it's all about me, but if we don't band together, regardless of political affiliation, and stop the progressive takeover of this country, then we are going to lose everything. So to me, you know, capitalism, baby. Americanism versus communism. That's what this is coming down to. All right, let's continue on here. Let me check my time. I'm doing okay. This is a CNN article, and it is about none other than Paul Ryan. Why can't the dude just go away? Isn't it enough that he's destroying Fox News? Now he destroyed part of the country while he was in there. Now he wants to come back, so to speak, be a bigger player in the Republican Party and destroy the progress that we made. That's me, but I'm going to make a case for it here in a minute. Paul Ryan to enter GOP civil war by criticizing Trump's hold on the party. Now, he made a speech at the Ronald Reagan Library, and let's talk about it. Former House Speaker Paul Ryan criticized former President Donald Trump and his hold on Republican Party during a speech Thursday night as he warned the GOP about drifting from core principles of conservatism. Core principles of conservatism. Like what? I'd love for him to list what his core principles are, because he certainly didn't act on them. I got a video here. I got to tell you, it's edited. It's made up of real stuff. It is pretty funny, and some of you may not know this about Paul Ryan or may have forgotten it, but this video is actually, I think, quite humorous. And one of the things that I've always wanted to do here on the show is be seriously entertaining, and I think this fits the bill. Check it out.
I'm Mitt Romney, and I approve this message.
Workout.
Ready or not, I'm coming, baby. I've got some muscle for you. Sweaty and hot, I'm pumping iron, and when I'm done, you're gonna beg me to have some big time fun, oh darling. I work my body out just for you.
The only thing that might have been better is if the music was to YMCA or something, or Macho Man. I mean, Paul Ryan, he's a piece of work, man. Ryan, a critic of the former president, talking about Mr. Trump, said at the Ronald Reagan Presidential Library in Simi Valley, California, that Republicans must move away from the populist appeal of one personality, because then we're not going anywhere. I completely disagree in general with this. Now, the one personality I would agree with. I've told you this many times, and some people don't like it when I say it, and this is not a knock on the great President Donald Trump. But if the MAGA movement, if the America First movement is dependent upon one person only, as great as that person may be, then it was doomed to failure from the beginning, because people come and go is the nature of life. And certainly Donald Trump has every right to ride off into the sunset and rest on his laurels and enjoy his great life and family and everything else. I don't predict he's going to do that. I don't know that he's necessarily going to run for president, but he's going to stay involved, and we need him to. I want him to, so don't misunderstand me. But the movement, and the President Trump even talked about this many times, the movement is us, the American people, the MAGA hat wearing sons of guns, the dregs of society, as Biden called us. Yeah, those people, the mostly bad people out there, that's the ones. But he said, Ryan said, then if we support Trumpism, basically, he said, then we're not going anywhere. Like when you were Speaker, sir, where did we go in your political career? Nowhere but downhill. You know, in my opinion, and I was going to save this for later, but I'm going to go ahead and say it now, and I might repeat it later, because if I say it, it bears repeating. But we are losing this cultural war, and Ryan talks about it a little bit here in a minute. Let me just ask you this, ladies and gentlemen, and I'm getting ahead of myself, but let me just say, I think it's the right time. I think Ryan is like 51 years old. 51 years old. Now, in his lifetime, and I'm not laying all this on Ryan, just to be fair, in that 51 years, have we, as a country, have we moved further to the right, stayed in the middle, or slid to the left? I think you know by what I just said. We are sliding to the left. We have been coasting, I would maintain, ever since World War II, really. We've been coasting. We've been resting on our laurels. We've gotten fat and happy as a nation. Not knocking it. I'm kind of fat and I'm kind of happy pretty much all the time. But we have been coasting. We have been in a long slumber. And keep in mind, you can only coast if you're going downhill. So I would tell you that we've been losing the battle for America for quite some time now. We've slowed it down from time to time, like when Reagan was president, like when President Trump was president. But no one has really stopped it, because, I mean, look where we're at right now. It seems to be getting faster to me. But Ryan, listen to what Ryan said here. He said, once again, and keep in mind he was at the Reagan Library. I want you to remember that because I'm going to make a point about it in a minute. Once again, we conservatives find ourselves at a crossroads, and here's the reality that we have to face. If the conservative cause depends on a populist appeal of one personality, why don't you just say Trump? Why don't you have the courage to say Donald Trump? Because everyone knows, to me, he shows his cowardice by not just saying it. If you don't like it, say it. Say it. But the political nonsense, doublespeak is what it is. Because depends on populist appeal of one personality or of second-rate imitations. Who are they? I don't know who he's talking about there. Then we're not going, why don't you tell us who you're talking about? Then we're not going anywhere. Voters looking for, these are Paul Ryan's words, voters looking for Republican leaders want to see independence and metal. And I agree with him. They want to see independence and metal. But for Paul Ryan to say this, wow. I'm going to play you a video right now that I think shows the very individual that he is saying we need, a type of person that, what in his words, in Ryan's words, voters looking for Republican leaders want to see independence and metal. And I would say this gentleman fits that bill exactly. Play.
End the era of nation building, a disastrous concept, a disastrous era, and create new foreign policy joined by our partners in the Middle East that is focused completely on destroying ISIS. We have no choice. Destroying ISIS. We will extend the hand of friendship to any nation that will work with us in good faith on this vital mission. I have a message for the terrorists trying to kill our people, our citizens, trying to hurt the world, but trying to hurt the United States. We will find you, we will destroy you, and we will win.
Amen. Amen. That guy right there, let me see, what did Ryan say? The voters looking for Republican leaders want to see independence and metal. Let me tell you, ladies and gentlemen, does anybody represent that more than Donald Trump? I'd like to see it. I mean, I think my governor, Ron DeSantis, represents that. But Donald Trump in the main show stood up when everybody else was cowering down, including you, Paul Ryan. But he goes on to say, this article points this out. Listen to this. Like-minded Republicans, including Ryan's predecessor, John Boehner. Wow. Look about that. Back-to-back, Republicans had John Boehner and Paul Ryan as speakers of the House, man. No wonder we ended up with Nancy Pelosi. But like-minded Republicans, including Ryan's predecessor, John Boehner, have lamented the current direction of the party, which has actively rebuked and ostracized members who have taken on Trump and his brand of populist and nativist politics. Well, like I've been telling you, by all means, Republicans, vote your conscience, speak your mind, because then we can make a clear choice. Because I really believe that Ryan and Boehner, they murky up the water. And I'm going to play a speech here in just a minute that will show you for once and for all what direction we need to go on. But America first, man. What he's talking about, what he's criticizing, what they're talking about in this article is they're criticizing America's first. John Boehner, that dude right there, he's totally gone to pot, man. By that, I mean he's selling pot. He literally is working for the pot lobby. Now, that might be something that you think is a good thing. But Boehner, talking about conservative principles, he's gone to seed, man. I'm just saying. In his speech, back to this article, Billy Bob tells me to get back to it, get off the pot train there. Billy Bob is my psychic sidekick, by the way. He's got a Twitter handle. It's at BillyBobBass1. Mine is at John Martin Talks. We are determined to stay in the public square no matter what. So, yes, we're going to try to be on Facebook, Twitter, everything. We're on BitChute, Rumble. We're creating a new platform here with the help of BDU. Actually, BDU's doing all the legwork. I'm just going to take advantage of it. I ain't going to lie to you. more about that in the coming weeks. In June, you should see a new platform. We're also, by the way, I talked about where you can see our show podcast and archive. You can always catch us on America's Voice News. If you're not familiar with them, they are a great alternative to the mainstream media. America's Voice News. They're on Roku, Fire Stick, Apple TV, Channel 219, Dish Network. They're on the Pluto channel. You can get free apps on your Android or your iPhone. We don't currently have a live show on there, but we are archived on there on a daily basis. Go to whatever streaming service you're using, America's Voice News, look under the shows tab, and you will see John Martin Talks in like 16-minute segments for your viewing pleasure. But in his speech, talking about Ryan here, he also warned his fellow conservatives at being drawn into cultural battles with Democrats. Listen to what he's saying about these cultural battles, the culture wars. As the left gets more woke and the rest of America is getting weary. That's true, but we got it. We can't be tired. We got to stay in the fight. This stuff is exhausting. I would agree with him. And we conservatives have got to be careful not to get caught up in every little cultural battle. That I don't agree with. I think we got to fight every one of these. The reason why we've been going downhill is because we've been coasting and we've been letting things slip by and not challenging them. Like, for instance, I'll give you this. Like, if states' rights. And I'm not even taking a position at this moment on, because I don't want to get sidetracked on, say, gay marriage. But when the state of California, of all places, votes not to have gay marriage, but the federal government through the SCOTUS, the Supreme Court, says it's the law of the land, I got a problem with that, because the state is supposed to be the ultimate, be able to decide for themselves. I'm just using that example. We are losing the cultural wars right here. But he says sometimes, talking about these cultural wars, this is Mr. Ryan's talk. He says sometimes these skirmishes are just creations of outraged peddlers detached from reality and not worthy of anybody's time. I agree with that, but they're running the country. So we have to pay attention to it. They draw attention away from the far more important case we make to most American people. I don't know if that, I mean, yes, it is a distraction, all of this stuff. But if we don't fight it, we're going to have to swallow it, so to speak. And that's what we've been doing. Like, what does the saying said? There's good news and bad news. The bad news is that all we have for supper is BS. The good news is there's plenty of it. And that's what they're trying to do to us. They're overwhelming us. They want us to be mushrooms in the dark and fed BS. That's what they want from us, and I'm not going to do it. I'm not getting back in the pot. I've been telling you that for a while now. One of the things that President Trump did for me personally is and I think a lot of Americans can relate to this, I thought I was out of the pot. In other words, I didn't think I was in there simmering in the pot. I thought I had jumped out of that pot, like the frog analogy. But Donald Trump showed me that I was still in the pot to a certain extent, but I am out of it 100%, and I ain't getting back in it. Join me, ladies and gentlemen. But Paul Ryan, let me read this part one more time because I want to make a good point here. He said talking about these cultural wars, they draw attention away from the far more important case we must make to the American people. Like the case you made, you and Mitt Romney made. I mean, you guys, people like you, sir, gave us Obama not once, but twice. And we're twice, every cultural battle, man. And I said, Paul Ryan is 51 years old. I made this point earlier, but I'm going to make it again. Are we winning or losing the cultural wars in the last 51 years? And it's kind of coincidence that Biden has been in power basically at some form or fashion for about the same length of time. Are we winning or losing the cultural wars? Are we becoming more constitutional, more free, more independent, more about rugged individualists? Or are we becoming more groupthink is why we're welcoming socialism? Remember those numbers from the previous story. Let me check my time. Got a few minutes left. Ryan said this, listen to this. In 2020, the country wanted and remember this was at the Reagan Library speech. In 2020, the country wanted a nice guy who would move to the center and depolarize our politics. Really? President Trump got 75 million votes. See, they rarely talk about this. Talk about, oh, there was no, like I say, we don't say the F word, no mod. Don't worry about stopping the squeal, things that rhyme with that. I think you get the picture. Joe Biden clearly got the most ballots. Whether he got the most votes is certainly debatable. But Donald Trump got the most votes in the history of any incumbent president. And there was no blue wave. I've showed you that map before, but Donald Trump won pretty much every county except the blue areas. The reality is that Donald Trump only lost the election by about 40, 50,000 votes. And you say, what are you talking about? Yeah, I know that supposedly, Basement Joe got the most votes in the history of anybody, which is hard to believe, but I guess he's the greatest presidential candidate ever. All right. But the reality is, if you break it down by state basis, which is why that Texas case was so important and the Supreme Court shirked its duty, if you know what I'm talking about. I can't get too deep into it right now. I'm running out of time. But Donald Trump actually lost the Electoral College in like 3 or 4 states by like 40, 50,000 votes. All you got to do is check it out. So this idea that somehow the country rejected Donald Trump is total BS. I'm not even disputing who's in the White House right now. I don't like it, but Joe Biden is the president of the United States of America. I don't like saying that. I wish it weren't true. I wish it was Donald Trump returned to the White House. But we got to deal with reality. I'm always about dealing with reality, but I get sick of this idea that Ryan is inserting here that somehow we rejected Trumpism, because that's what he's saying here. Back to Ryan's comments. He says, instead, we got a nice guy, talking about Joe Biden. I don't know that Joe Biden's all that nice, man. He snapped at everybody. I could play you countless videos. Dog-faced pony boy, or when he told a guy, hey, you want to take it outside, fat? Remember those? So I don't think that Mr. Biden is a nice guy at all. But he said, instead, we got a nice guy pursuing an agenda more leftist than any president in my lifetime. I would agree with that. But did you help or hurt in coming in the election? Did you beat down on President Trump the whole time he was in there? You didn't help him with his agenda, and we gave him a mandate, sir, and you prevented much of the things from happening. What the real miracle, Mr. Ryan, and I just got to get this off my chest, the real miracle of Donald Trump's presidency was how much he was able to get done, even though people like you were trying to stop him at every corner, and you still are. I'm going to call it like it is. But this is back to Ryan's word. These policies might have the full approval of his progressive supporters, talking about Biden, but they break faith with the middle-of-the-road folks who made the difference for him on Election Day. Middle-of-the-road folks. Like you, Paul? Like you? You know what I tell you about middle of the road. You find dead skunks and possums. Now, I had a totally Florida experience yesterday. After I left the studios, I was driving down this highway back to Hawthorne, and I was looking, and something was coming right up dead center of the road, not across the road, but right up the center. And I was like, what the heck is that? It was about a 5-foot alligator, man. And I had to come to a stop. Luckily, there wasn't a lot of traffic, because you don't want to hit an alligator. They will tear the undercarriage of your vehicle all to hell. But he finally went off into the ditch. So I had my own Florida experience, and he didn't end up dead. But dead skunks are what you're in the middle of the road. Now, this is a point I want to make. This is a great video I'm about to play for you, so get ready for it. Keep in mind what I said earlier. Paul Ryan was talking at the Reagan Library. Now, while he was there, perhaps he should have listened to some of Ronald Reagan's speeches. This speech from Ronald Reagan, to me, sums up where we were when he got elected and where we are right now. Check it out.
You know, in spite of all our greatness, our people feel a sense once again, or a desire to feel a sense of greatness, a sense and a pride in their own capacity for performing great needs. We Republicans, I think, can do something about this, but not if we try to be all things to all people. There are some in our midst who've suggested that we should broaden our base, except that what they mean by broadening our base is to blur the image, to make us indistinguishable from the other party. Some have suggested that the 1974 election, the disastrous results, were an indictment of what we stand for. Well, may I suggest that the meaning of the last election will not be found among those who voted. It will be found by polling those who stayed home, the biggest non-voter bloc in our nation's history. And why did they stay home? Well, because they said they couldn't see any difference between the two parties. I think they're basically wrong, but I think this is also an indication of what our answer should be to those who would make us more like the opponents. I am a convert to Republicanism. I spent most of my adult life as a Democrat, and I can testify that when I found I could no longer follow the leadership of the Democratic Party, I became a Republican not because the parties were the same, but precisely because they were different. More than half of those who didn't vote have been polled and say it no longer makes any difference which party wins. Now some have taken another course. There are some among us, and I respect their views, who suggest that that means an end to the Republican Party, that we should form a new third party. May I suggest an alternative to that? Let's have a new first party, a Republican Party raising a banner of bold colors, no pale pastels, a banner instantly recognizable as standing for certain values which will not be compromised. Yes, we must broaden our base, but let's broaden it the way we did in 1972, because those Americans, Democrats and Independents and Republicans, are still out there looking for a banner around which to rally. And we have what they want, what they're seeking, but they don't know that. And sometimes I wonder if we know it.
Ladies and gentlemen, I mean, Reagan lays it out there for you. We don't need pastel colors. We need bold choice. We don't need middle-of-the-road politics right now. Right now, ladies and gentlemen, is the time to make clear. Republicans, I agree, are murky from time to time. The Democrats are telling you, these progressives, they have Trump derangement syndrome, and all you have to do is take them at their word. They want to spin us into oblivion. They are taking us down a socialist path, like the previous story from the Venezuelan illegal immigrant talked about. There are clear choices. The time now is to man the political ramparts, and I agree with what Mr. Reagan said. One of the reasons why people can't maybe stay at home is because there is no difference between the parties at the upper level. And we see that from the Mitt Romneys and the Mitch McConnells of the world. We didn't see that with Donald Trump or Ronald Reagan. They painted with bold colors. Now is the time to make clear your positions. We don't need Paul Ryan politics. Go help the liberals if that's what you want to do, because that's what you've been doing. It is about freedom versus tyranny, like the meme that was just up there, and I appreciate that. But that is where we are. All right, we got a couple minutes left. I gotta end the show with some humor. First of all, in case I forget to say it, I wish you the best of Memorial Day weekends. Ladies and gentlemen, we're not going to be here on Monday. We're going to take a break. I may post some stuff from home and that kind of thing, but I want you to enjoy your family. I know it's been a tough year and a half here, so enjoy your family. Remember those, as they say, all gave some gave all. Remember those fallen, and especially the families of those who lost loved ones in defense of our freedom. But I got to end the show on what I think is kind of humorous. Now, no crime is really humorous, but you got to admit this one might be. This is from Fox News 5 out of New York, but it's an Atlanta story. Atlanta defunded police backer has car stolen by kids in broad daylight. This guy, Antonio Brown, is a member of the city council or commission in Atlanta, and he's actually running for mayor, and he got his car stolen. An Atlanta city councilman who is aiming to be the city's next mayor had his car stolen by children in broad daylight Wednesday, according to reports. Councilman Antonio Brown was attending a ribbon-cutting ceremony at an event in northeast Atlanta around noon when at least 4 kids jumped into his car and took off. Now listen to this right here. So this is a guy who voted to cut $73 million from the Atlanta Police Department. But listen to here. So the councilman described the kids as being between ages 6 and 12. 6 and 12 stole this guy's car. One kid was in the driver's seat. Ben attempted to open the door to get him out. I guess that's one of his people of the car. He fought with Ben. I then engaged and tried to get him out of the car. The 3 other kids were trying to figure out how to get in the car, stay out of the car. He started to hit it on the gas. So these kids between 6 and 12 stole this guy's car. That is what socialism is bringing to a country. That is what Black Lives Matter. What about those kids that are already little, growing up to be car thieves right there? But this guy who wants to cut $73 million from the police department, wants to be the next mayor of Atlanta, got his car stolen in broad daylight. It's sad, but funny. I hope you've enjoyed the show as much as I've enjoyed bringing it to you. Please go directly to all of our social media sites, like them, share them with others. I'll pray for your family. You pray for mine. Let's all pray for the families of the fallen over Memorial Day weekend. Absolutely enjoy your freedom, ladies and gentlemen, but remember that freedom has never, ever been free. Let's all pray for this great nation because she needs it and deserves it more than ever. But like I say each and every day, from my heart, from my family to yours, have a blessed day.